Hey guys, here's the gear for today. Some repeat items for sure. We're going to continue using this Zenith B35 brush. It's a custom one with a custom handle at least that the sub I belong to put together an order for many of us. I'm going to be using Stirling again this month, and I'll be using it all month just to support Rod and I think Mandy is his wife. They make a great soap, but they in particular stepped up to help us get this brush in our hands and get it over from Italy and Zenith and all that. It's 12 uses, 13 uses, something like that. The description of the video is going to have that exact number, maybe even the title. And it's already, even last time I used it, I think I kind of thought of it as soft, and that's a good point. The boars, of course, grow and mature, and it's still quite young. So for it to be this comfortable at this point, it's very encouraging. I'm going to use this Slim. This is the same one I used recently, a new one to me. It is stuck at a certain adjustment level, and I'm going to use it today as well with a different blade to see if I can guess about what level it might be stuck at when I sell it. I want to give the buyer that kind of information. And we're going to use put the Personna in there, comfort coated. I think it's the same as the Lab Blues, from information I've gathered also from you guys, some knowledgeable folks that have talked to me about it. Stirling City Slicker is the soap for today, and boy, this one's a little bit of a divisive one. I wanted to make sure I got it into this month because it was an interesting story about how Rod just got rid of all his inventory at the end of the story here. We're starting at the end of the story because it turns out people just got to him about this and hounded him and irritated him so much. I don't know why. It's one of I really enjoy it. It's a favorite. What it smells to me is like a typical kind of cologne scent, but just with this really cool woody note that's stronger than usual. And I love that, right? Many cologne scents, I wish that if I could just boost up the sandalwood or a standard woody type note, if I could just bring that up a little higher, I'd really like it. And that's what City Slicker is to me. It's not a strong scent. And so maybe that's what people were griping about, but he just got so much bad contact. People returning it because I don't know why, but that he just got rid of his whole supply. And I really enjoy it. So, City Slicker is the soap today. I am dealing with 2 days of growth, so a little bit more than average. We'll see if the Personna here can do it. I think I used the 7 o'clock black as the blade on this razor for the first time, and for the first use of this razor, and it felt a little on the aggressive side. I was able to control it by probably lifting up the handle away from my skin and riding the cap a little bit, and so I didn't walk away with any irritation after the shave. But I don't think it's set in my little nice zone of maybe 2 or 3, which is where I normally enjoy these kind of adjustables. Hey, also, I'm going to use this lather bowl again. It's Dollar Tree, and I epoxied these glass beads also from the Dollar Tree in this melamine bowl of kind of a V or U shape, and it works really well. Honestly, it may be the best value out there in terms of if you've already got some epoxy on hand, then for $2 you can get this, and to me it kind of beats just about every commercial bowl I've seen out there, to be honest. Let's get my face wet. And one nice thing about using Stirling is that it's the same soap base every day, except for the days when I might bring in the mutton tallow, like I did with the Scots Pine Sheep a few times ago. Since it's the same base, it should give me an idea of being able to zone in on what this brush needs as a load time. If I use a different soap every time, which is what I am doing, then that means it's going to be fairly dry. And so, last time it was 20 seconds and it was still with a lot of lather. So how about when we try a 15-second load? I'm going to get it to a lightly wet point. A lot of it's already been shaken out. So 15 seconds. Shall we do that when it rolls around to 55? Right there. 15 seconds. You can definitely feel the backbone here. The tips are what is changing and getting softer, and they are very nice. And that doesn't seem like a lot. I'm letting some of the wetter stuff drip into my bowl here, so that'll conserve a little bit. I'll take the side bowl stuff. So this is the beef tallow, like most of Stirling's stuff. They either have the beef or the sheep tallow. Most of them are the beef. And it's an excellent base. It really, I think, should be the gold standard. If you're going to develop a soap and bring it to the market, it needs to either meet or exceed this soap base, in my opinion, because this is such a nice price to get 5.8 ounces of soap. Most people just give you 4 ounces. That I think you really need to have this as your starting point at the very minimum. All right. How about that? City Slicker. I did try a full Dollar Tree workup by purchasing some contact cement at the Dollar Tree or contact adhesive. I don't know what the package actually said. But that didn't hold up to the water and the shaving type movements, apparently. And so then I actually at the Dollar Tree, I found some epoxy. They did that. It's not going to hold 8 or 9, passes of lather, but who needs that, right? Also, it is a great travel option because it's so cheap. If it breaks, no big deal. But look at the angles. It's almost a 90-degree angle when you compare this side versus this side. You know what that means? That means this can go in the corner of any suitcase and virtually not take up any room then, see? The glass beads at the bottom are in the decor department of the Dollar Tree. They could be had, I'm sure, at Michael's or any other craft type store, Walmart, that sort of thing. This is what it looks like when it needs more water, all craggy and stuff. Of course, that's a subjective kind of thing, but I bet few people want to use it at this point. I think most people would agree you should keep adding water when it looks like that. So the beads do have a purpose of agitating, helping the bristles to move against each other to then agitate the lather. But mainly, here's what they do. They keep the brush from slinking down into the lather, getting the handle all messy. That's mainly what I have them there for. If I do end up making a ton of lather, and sometimes I load for longer than I need to, just out of an abundance of caution. And so maybe if that happens, then I could just let it spill over because I won't need it anyway. I believe any amount of lather that I would keep in this bowl is going to last me plenty for a shave, right? Now, if I had a big Badger brush with a lot of splay, then it could potentially knock some lather out, that I might need, but I bet that's not a big deal. So this is the second shave with this, the second working this bowl with those glass beads, and it sure looks like the glass beads are going to hold on. Now, we can see it's starting to get more wet, a creamier texture. Have a little bit of a glisten there. So we're definitely going to get to know the Stirling beef tallow base this month. Well, shoot, we're almost halfway through the month, I think. Yeah, a few more days. I've always wanted to do, and I may do 31 shaves of Stirling. I may not stop at the end of the month because I've been skipping a few days here and there. And I really have thought about doing a month of Stirling for a while. It's a great base, a great company. They do a lot for our shaving communities, and great value products. this handle is a little on the short side, even though it is quite thick. And so it is a little, you do have to grip it to keep it under control. Let's add just a little bit more because the Stirling base can definitely take it. And that might be all we decide to add. Yeah, that woodiness is coming up from the bowl to my nose. I like it. It's not really a pine, you know, type of woodiness, but it's also not as rich as something like oak or that. It's also not cedar. It may be just a generic woody kind of vibe. I like it. I mean, in a sense, it is kind of pine, like fresh cut 2x4s, not resinous pine, you know, that kind of thing. There we go. Now we've got, we have a very different looking lather than we started out with. I can pull it up like that to show you how it moves. Sometimes that's a very good way to test hydration. And even though it doesn't have an inturned lip like my usual lather bowl, my 3D one, to keep the lather in, it's big enough to where the lather just stays in, because the lather would have to keep traveling up to the edge. And then I like it because you can get close to the edge with the brush as you push the lather back into the bowl to circulate it around. And that's a little easier to do in this bowl than it is with a bowl that has an inturned lip. So that's a lot of lather. See, I just loaded for 15 seconds, guys, and this is a lot of lather, way more than 3 passes. Get my face wet again. I'm going to try something new. I have this cool Barrister and Man shaving towel, you know, hand towel type thing. I'm going to put it on like an apron, you know, tuck it into a pocket here. And I wonder if that'll be good to just dry off my hands during the shave. See how that works. I've always kind of wondered about an accessory for your shave being a shaving apron or an overall kind of situation where you have a bib kind of thing. It would protect your shirt, but it would have things, you know, would we need anything, you know, on our person to help us during the shave? We would obviously need a place to kind of clean our hands as we're shaving. Are there any tools that we need? I mean, you know, I often need a measuring spoon, you know, if I'm scooping samples, but that's not something you need to have accessible to you during the whole shave, you know. Went back to the bowl and got a little bit more lather. Let's do that again. Maybe I didn't charge up the brush and kind of fill it up as much as I usually do before the shave here. I was feeling the backbone more because it seemed like maybe the lather wasn't in it as much. Lightly scrubby. Yeah, this is a very wet lather. I may not have needed to take it this far in terms of hydration. To help that, I can maybe dry off my face a little bit between the passes and suck a little bit of moisture out of the lather. But this is a good base, and like all good bases, even with a thin layer, it's going to work well and be super slick. However, with a scrubby brush, like a young boar brush, it's not going to put it in its best light. It's not going to offer any damping or cushioning effects to those tips and to the backbone. So just working the lather into my skin here. Yep, the light scent, 4 out of 10 in terms of scent strength. Brush getting a little messy in the handle, and so I wanted to rinse off some of the soap and the lather from the handle. But the good thing about making extra, you know, ending up with extra lather is you can always dip back in. And that should do me here. I may like the shaving apron. I may not have anything to put in. Yeah, because you don't really need anything during your shave, during the course of the shave. It's not like you want to put your razor in your pocket, you know. So I don't think I would need any kind of compartments. No reason to invent that. Unless you were a portable shaver where a transient, you know, kind of shaver to where you had like some kind of minimal or shared bathroom. Maybe in a dorm situation, or if you were a guest at somebody's house, and it might then be convenient to have all your stuff on you, if you had a small counter. You know, we're brainstorming here. There's no wrong answers. This does not feel aggressive. This blade is much more user-friendly with this particular razor, so that's encouraging. So right now it's not feeling like a 7, you know, in terms of aggression like the other blade was. This is really nice. See, I wouldn't mind if I bought this at a nice price, you know, less than a normal slim adjustable, you know, on eBay, and somebody were to tell me that it's stuck at a certain point, I'd be fine with that. I would enjoy this setting. Okay. Oh, and right now, I can do a little bit of a rinse, but what I'm really going to do is kind of a wipe, okay? And because my face and the lather doesn't need any more moisture. And so we'll just go right to putting on lather pass number 2. And see, let's see if that then makes it a little bit less wet. Yep, a little bit more creamy here. Good choice. Cross grain now, and you know, we're dealing with 2 days of growth here, and this razor is not letting me know that at all. Very comfortable, no tugging. This is a very nice match, and this is good because this is a pretty economical razor. Lifetime quality. Many of these have already lived one lifetime, and so if you buy one online, then it's not going to have a problem lasting your lifetime if you want it to. You know, they're plated and they have brass at the core. And then this blade is very inexpensive. The Personna Comfort Coated / Lab Blues. And so this is a terrific shave at a very budget cost. That worked out well. So what do I want to just kind of do the wipe like I did before? Why don't we try that? Apron. Get the apron with my wet hands again. I may like that. Not reaching behind me for that towel, you know, all the time. Charge up the brush with some lather. We don't need to work the brush anymore. We can just do painting motions to spread the lather because we've already done the work and the conditioning on the skin, and we don't really need to work the brush anymore. Cross grain again. I don't do against the grain. Although I'm pretty happy with the setting of this brush. This blade and this razor are being nice to me. And I bet I could pull it off if I felt like it. I just don't need to. Usually, especially on my neck, I'll get cuts and irritation if I try to go against the grain. So yeah, this feels like more of a, I've got it set on 1. This does feel more like a 1 or a 2 setting. That's so funny to have such a different reaction, a different sensation, different experience when it's in kind of a lock. What it does is it moves easily between 1 and 3. And it does seem to move up and down a little bit, the part above the adjustment ring, but there's no clicks like there usually should be. Somebody might be able to fix this razor and have a really nice razor on their hands, but even right now, I'd consider it quite nice. Stuck at 1, I'd be happy with that. And I've got a great cut here, great shave. So if someone were looking for a more middle of the road to mild razor, then I think this one would fit the bill nicely. Now I will do a rinse since we are on the 3rd pass here. Now I have used this bowl before even without the glass beads in it, and it's a good lather bowl. This one, with the addition of the glass beads, makes it a great lather bowl, and for the cost of about $2 or $3. So in terms of if you've been wanting to play around, but you've seen the cost, some of them cost $25, $30, $40, $50. I've seen some for $75, and I'm sure they get to be more, but I just don't shop in those kind of circles. You don't need to spend a lot of money to get a great lather bowl. This works really, really well. It's aerating the lather, but not too much. It's holding plenty of it. It's got a small bottom area. If you focus your lather in the small bottom area, then it's easy to deal with a small quantity of lather. But since it expands and gets bigger as you get more full, then you get more room. If you need more lather, it's there for you. So this is a really, practically speaking, this, and I like this. I would rather have this than most other lather bowls that I've seen out there, including the Captain's Choice, the fine accoutrements, just about anything I've ever seen. I like the sound of it a little bit better than actually my 3D lather bowl that you've seen me use so many times. This is more solid. The 3D has a hollowness to it because of the nature of the printing, right? And it's got kind of a scratchy sound because of its texture and that hollowness kind of combined together. But this doesn't have that at all. And so in the sound department, it's actually a plus. It's easy to, when you get the lather up on the side of the bowl, it's easy to press it down, to circulate and render the lather all homogeneous and get it all looking right. You could use it as a bowl where you just work it for a little bit and then face lather the rest of the way. No problem. Great way to do samples because you can still spread the sample soap around in the bottom of the bowl. So it would work for all kinds of scenarios at such a cheap cost. And then it's not going to break if you drop it in the sink because it's melamine. And if it does break, it's only $3 to fix the whole thing. Yeah, that's a nice close shave. So I'm happy with that. So while I did maybe hydrate this a little too much, I still ended up with a great shave. The razor moved effortlessly, super slick. Okay, it may have been a little drippy. Lather may have been slinging around, so you may want to back off on the water a little bit if you don't like that. However, straight razor shavers may enjoy this exact kind of composition of lather. And so while I may have had to dip back into the bowl, as you can see, I could probably do one more pass of what's in the brush and another pass, maybe even 2 of what's in the bowl. And so plenty of lather to get the job done. With the woodiness here that is still, even though it's kind of a light scent, it's been removed from me now. I took a break just now and did something on my computer for a few minutes, and that woodiness is still around me. So it's really neat how that's holding up. I like that. I can't fail with choosing the Sandalwood Splash from Stirling as well. It's not a very punchy, dominant, kind of smell, but it just goes with, just about every scent out there. It's a base note for so many scents, and it's going to go with a lot of soaps. And it's probably not going to offend anybody as well. It's just classy. But classy because of its nature, not really because it's got any kind of classy cologne vibes to it. It's just kind of a straight, if you were to think about it in terms of comparison with Perazzo and the red Perazzo and those Indian kind of sandalwoods, then it is kind of sweet, a sweeter kind of sandalwood. It's not as punchy or high in the nose, if you will, as those get. But if you kind of think about it by itself, you wouldn't think sweet. I don't know why it took me so long to try that as a splash, and I I just ended up with it kind of by accident. Because, well, I tell you what happened was I initially tried the Sandalwood soap very early in my shaving journey. And since it kind of disappointed me because it wasn't like that Perazzo red kind of sandalwood, which I really wanted. And so I put it in the kind of the back burner. And I've just had so many soaps to play around with since then. Well, all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, just because it doesn't match up to a certain genre of sandalwood doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. And so I thought, you know what, I'll look for a used set of sandalwood. And sure enough, after a while, one came up. And so I got the splash and the soap. And then that's when I realized that while the soap isn't super interesting, it is nice and enjoyable, but it's not, something like City Slicker or Sandpiper or Texas on Fire or, some of those others that have a little bit more complexity to them. The splash, all of a sudden it hit me, wait a minute, I could have been using this splash the whole time because it's just like a Swiss Army knife. It's applicable in so many situations. So you could definitely take a trip and only take the Sandalwood splash with you as a post-shave product and take a few different samples and they would all agree with the Sandalwood splash. That wouldn't be a problem to set that up at all. So we did get a little bit wet of a lather today. What did it take to do that? About 22 milliliters of water, 21, somewhere around there, with 15 seconds of loading. And 15 seconds still gave me some extra lather. So 15, maybe even just a touch less. I like a little bit of a margin, and so maybe 15 might be a good place to go in terms of this brush and how much soap it picks up as quickly as it does. Because of the wetness of the lather, the brush wasn't in its best form. The backbone was felt a little bit more because the creaminess wasn't there to kind of cushion the brush. We often think of cushion in relation to the shaving, although to me it's almost like who cares what cushion means in a shave. I don't think it I don't see how it benefits you. I haven't really heard anybody explain it in a way where I felt like it was some kind of useful shaving metric. I've said it before, but to me, cushion just kind of means the same as viscosity. How thick is it? And if I've got a soap that is really super slick, and so it's well hydrated, but it's still got cushion, I like that only in the sense of a luxury feel to my fingers and on my face, and that's all, not anything practically related to the performance of the shave and the razor. Now, what often I experience is a person trying to achieve cushion and they end up with a leather that's too dry. And that, of course, to me, is the opposite of trying to get a good shave. And so people who throw around cushion so easily, I don't see what the reasoning is behind saying that too much. This gives lots of cushion. That means it gets thick. Anyway, that's my little rant on cushion. Who cares? Slickness. To me, slickness is tied with protection. Because if you have slickness, if the razor can move across your face easily because of a sense of lubrication on your skin, then that lubrication is what is going to protect your skin. If you've got a thickness or a cushion, that doesn't protect skin. That's not protection. It definitely doesn't mean fastness. Slickness is more closely aligned with the speed and the ease of movement than cushion would be. Anyway. All right, very good. I'm going to treat my brush here with the hairdryer. And here's what it looks like before the hairdryer treatment, after we've stropped it on a towel. And I wanted to mention the only disadvantage that I can see with this bowl is that if my fingers were ever soapy in my bowl holding hand, then it was a little harder to hold this bowl because, see, there's nothing to grab. But in general, a nestling kind of approach, with my hands at least, works well to maintain control here. So while my 3D Lather 3D printed bowl had a ridge and a corner around that I was able to grab, this one doesn't. But it really didn't end up to be a really big deal. It's just a slight negative. So let's hair dry this thing. As always, a gentle hair dryer treatment. Lately, I've just been using cool as the temperature, not even warm. And since I'm doing that, I use the high speed. It seems to work pretty well. All right, here we go. Just a few minutes of treatment with the hairdryer, and you can see it's getting all cloudy and fuzzy in there as more tips split. I have pulled out 3 or 4 of those thick hairs that sometimes just happen in boar brushes. Oh man, there's some tips you can see right there that have just branched out and split. It does start splitting more around the edges. That's just the way boar brushes are. And then what we want to do is get that middle to keep splitting. And so that's where my hairdryer energies are and time spent are more focused on the middle part than the outside, since that's quicker to split on its own. All right, it's a beautiful brush. The splay here is just gradually getting a little bit larger each time as the splits happen and things like that. So I'm glad I bought the brush with some of my fellow shavers in this group. You too can do a brush on your own if you have a community of shavers that you're a part of. A lot of manufacturers will do special stuff like this for you. If you get 40, 50, 60, some kind of number has to be achieved to where you can commit on a certain number of products, whether it's a soap or a brush, or maybe even a razor that you bought a certain razor and you want to get something engraved on it or something like that. That can be done. Well, great work today with the Personna Comfort Coated blade. It was a wonderful match with the Slim here. So I can definitely sell that on the used market with confidence, and that somebody's going to be able to, with the knowledge that it's going to be on the mild side with that, they're going to get good shaves with it. So that's good. That's a nice shaver, and it's in great condition too. I think we've covered everything. So thanks so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I'm continuing to enjoy this kind of sandalwood cloud that's around me. Very nice. You guys take care. Good night.